Hare Krishna, Maharaj, please accept our home bodies, Solar Station Prabhupada.
Jai Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much that you have find time for us to meet today.
Okay. Is
I think
everything going
that,
to be in English?
yeah,
Okay.
I think that we could start from that very beginning, why we have approached you today with request to meet with us. So, as much as you remember, several years back, we started this Gitanagari project, and all these construction things are still, we are preparing for that. We have still not started. And at one point, we decided we have to do some service to devotees in the field of education. And Madan Mohan Prabhu and Shyam Prabhu, they have started Bhaktivedanta University last year. And we were thinking that Bhaktivedanta University is more for those senior devotees, more advanced. And what will get all the others, all the other masses of devotees. So we decided to do some educational program for those who are maybe not so advanced in one sense, I mean, not senior devotees. And we decided to do an online project, what we are calling Bhakti Center. And this year we have started program which is based on the Bhakti Lata course. It will go at least for 1 year, maybe even more. At the beginning, actually, afterwards we were planning to continue with educational program based on Bhakti Shastri course, Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Devotion.
Can you tell me what the Bhakti Lata course is?
Pardon?
Can you tell me what the Bhakti Lata course is?
Yeah, Bhakti Lata course. It's based. It's like it was before Bhakti program, but it's more advanced, giving more deeper information to the devotees. Tirtha Pavana Prabhu has compiled this Bhakti Lata course, and now Mataji Krishna Priya is giving classes for devotees. We are, publishing recordings and afterwards discussing with students in the groups. And those who are, working with the students in those groups, we don't call them, mentors or as such. We are more into caretakers, caretakers, those who are taking care. And that is the main reason why we decided that we would like to meet with you, because we would like to do it not just like helping devotees to understand the knowledge what they can get from those classes what Mataji Krishna Priya is giving, but more to develop mode of good friendship between them, and in the same time to develop in our hearts, this mood of taking care about them. And we have several questions in this regard. If it is okay, we could ask.
Okay.
So what should be this mood to perform this service of taking care about others, and in the same time not to become, unduly responsible, overly responsible? Because sometimes, we can, by our desire to take care about others, we can, push on them.
Oh, this is one thing.
Or feel inside us that we have, by this idea of responsibility, because it requires to, it's not just, to take care about them on the material platform. It requires to take care about the spiritual platform, and sometimes we can become overly responsible.
Not overly responsible. I wouldn't say that overly responsible is a proper utilization of the words responsible. I think it's overly manipulative is sometimes what I see. Is what I see.
Yeah.
Which is, and people call it responsibility, but they don't realize that being responsible is more of being responsible is to be a good example than telling others what they're supposed to do. That's much more of the responsibility towards others than to be there, breathing down their neck, trying to change them into mold them into our clones. But anyways, I just thought I should bring that to light. I don't know if responsibility is the right word.
Probably about misusing.
Huh?
Probably more about misusing.
Yeah.
Our status of the caretaker.
Right. Yeah. Potentially misusing. I don't say it's a fait accompli, that it's something that happens just by having the designation, but the potential is there. Definitely more in younger devotees who take that role, because they don't know more than that, and they only know how to guide or direct by repeating the things they've heard. And sometimes the tendency amongst younger devotees is to repeat the things they heard, but without having to follow it themselves. So, because it's better to repeat the things they heard for others than to repeat it for themselves, because it's more imposing when they repeat it to themselves. So, it's just a phenomenon that happens amongst the younger devotees. And I would say that a better training for people who take that role of quote unquote responsibility is to teach them what is real compassion, what is real care, and you can have just as much responsibility to somebody without having to be manipulative or controlling in any way, but actually by really caring about them. That means that you let them make their own choices, make their own decisions, but you intervene in a way by helping them to understand both sides of the picture and the decisions that they will make. That's better training of people, rather than always to be there to tell somebody they're doing something wrong, which is not a very good caretaker, which is sometimes what people do when they have that position of responsibility. They're the one to always say what others they're caring for are doing wrong, rather than to encourage them about the things they're doing right. And that also takes a lot of care and a lot of attention and compassion and wisdom, which sometimes doesn't exist yet in the minds of newer devotees. So that's not something that can be taught. It's not something that's academically learned. You can give so many courses about caring, but unless the heart is open to the concept, by being stable in Krishna consciousness oneself, and being, I oftentimes use the verse from Prahlad Maharaj in the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam where he prays for all living entities become pacified by devotional service, and may they become free from envy, because when they're actually free from envy, then they can actually think about the welfare of others. But that's a tall order, and not everybody can actually fulfill that order and come to that standard. So therefore, at least they should be enough of a sadhaka so they're looking within themselves to ask themselves the question, am I controlling? Am I abusing my position? Or do I really care and I want to help this person? And I think that in itself is a sufficient depth or honesty that's required for a person who assumes that role, that he's willing to look within himself or herself to evaluate their own bhakti, and am I actually capable of thinking of others' welfare? So I know many devotees are. I'm not in any way saying that they're rare souls who can take up this service, but I just say I've just seen too much over the years that giving a person a designation and as a leader and letting him think that way and imposing it on others has been very detrimental to the spiritual welfare of many new devotees who lose faith by being manipulated and controlled. Especially when it comes to initiations. My God. I've just seen that too often. You know, how people become manipulated and controlled, you know, because the person is thinking about initiation and they don't want to, you know, forgive my expression, they don't want to lick somebody's feet to get it. And and these are the kind of things that bother me, and I speak about it probably not as openly, publicly, but you've asked the question, so I'm answering it to you because you're a senior devotee. Sarvagya is present, and Bhakta Olga is here, and I know she's probably experienced some of these things herself. So anyways, I just thought I would bring that to light. But it's not an answer to your question, probably. You probably have more questions to ask on the same topic, so I'll stop there on that topic.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Yeah, next question will be in some way connected to the first one. What should be our mood not to become the doer, to understand that we are just instrument in the hands of Guru and Krishna? How to keep this mood inside us?
Well, it's not so complicated, but it requires spiritual strength, obviously. But I say it's not so complicated, it's rather simple, because if one wants to avoid thinking themselves the doer, then they have to be conscious of their dependent position from executing the order from a higher authority. And that, of course, will gradually eliminate the concept of thinking oneself the doer, that I'm not doing, I'm simply serving the higher order. And by their desire, some results could possibly manifest, because they're my well-wisher and they're thinking about my service, they're thinking about what I want to do to satisfy them, and I should not expect to think that I'm totally responsible for any good result. And that's how to avoid thinking oneself the doer. So that's internal. That's internal. And bhakti is supposed to be internal, not just designations. Which unfortunately people fall into that trap. Did we lose Sarvagya because of his connection? Or because I said something that was he was not ready to hear?
Yeah, it seems that you went down internet connection there.
I was joking when I said that.
Yeah, of course.
But should we wait for him to return?
at this moment when he is not here, we just wanted to say a couple of words of actually our gratitude to him also. That he became our like senior caretaker about those who are taking care in the groups. So we have invited Sergei to become our senior, and he agreed to support us.
So he's working with whom?
He is working with the group of our caretakers. It's around 10 persons.
10 caretakers.
Caretakers. Mataji Radhika Priya is also there. She's a disciple of yours from Moscow. Actually, she's
not a disciple, according to the expression on the face I'm seeing.
Guru Maharaj, she's disciple of Bhakti-Bhava Maharaj.
Really? Really? And I was thinking that she's disciple of yours. Oh my God. So sorry. So, and other devotees, a couple of them, more than a couple, actually half of them are just, those who have accepted Sarvagya Prabhu as his personal mentor, actually before we have started this project. So it has connection, some connection even before we have started this project. And also the mood what has Sarvagya Prabhu very inspires everyone. He's a very humble person. And we want to learn from him, his humbleness.
Can you tell me what progress has been made so far in the execution of this vision?
So we have started in September, 3 months already. We are working with devotees. Unfortunately, when we have started, there were more than 100 devotees. Now it's a little less. How it always happens in the material world. Someone desires to participate and not to. Sometimes he understands that there is no time.
100 devotees taking courses.
We are publishing on the Saturday. We are publishing recorded lecture of Mataji Krishna Priya, where he is giving, knowledge. And afterwards, during next week, we are meeting with devotees, discussing with them the main ideas, what he has given in the class. And simultaneously, during the week, we are meeting with 1 or 2 of those whom we have in our groups, just to discuss not the material what we have received from the class, but something more about their spiritual life. Just to get some feedback from them. How do they live their spiritual lives? What support is required, and such a way. So every week we have meeting in the group, and or 1 or 2 from the group we meet on the weekly basis, just to discuss with them all other things.
Those are the group you're talking about, the 10 caretakers.
Every caretaker has a particular group, around 10 devotees, what he's guiding, leading.
7.
And the caretakers, they are meeting together to discuss that particular lesson, what Mataji Krishna Priya has given. And we have another meeting to discuss Shastra amongst us. We are discussing Shastra. Today evening we will have it.
What are the obstacles you've been confronted?
I think that we have overestimated the potential of a couple of devotees. I was thinking that they will be more involved. Caretakers they will be more involved in this process, but now I can see that we have to somehow support them in their desire to take care about others.
Support them or encourage them?
Encourage and support also, because it seems that they don't have proper understanding what does it mean.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, actually, that is one of the questions we would like to ask you, Maharaj. How can we take care about those who would like to take care about others?
Yeah.
About how to take care about caretakers.
Uh-huh. Yeah, one of the biggest, I say most common questions I get from devotees in the role of caretakers, mentors, whatever you want to use, counselors, most common questions is, when do you know it's not working? and when to, how much to take responsibility for the people we're taking responsibility. What are our limits as to the degree of how much we should take responsibility? Because people can be quite abusive when they know that somebody's been assigned as a caretaker, because they don't have the proper understanding what does it mean to be a caretaker or a mentor or a counselor. They may think it's somebody that I'm supposed to be able to get help from whenever I need it.
Mm-hmm.
And they can become quite abusive. And then the caretakers or the counselors, whatever we're going to call them, they begin to think, well, where do I draw the line? In this relationship, should I continue? Should I tell them to go someplace else? And false expectations is really a major contributor to good relationships. Oh, sorry, I had another commitment at 11:30 who just arrived, and we started a little bit late. You can wait? Okay. All right. It's a treatment I'm supposed to be taking, so
Sorry, man.
it's okay. But let's continue. I don't want to lose the strain of thought. False expectations, and I think therefore one of the responsibilities of the caretaker should be to define what expectations there are in the relationship from the beginning, and what they can do to help, so that the person doesn't build a relationship on false expectations and therefore abuse the caretaker. Because I've seen many people say, I can only give so much of myself. That I need to draw the line. I feel that people expect too much from me, because they don't know that real caretaker is somebody who's supposed to be taking care of their faith, and not just taking care of every other aspect of their life. If you could take care of somebody's faith, then the person is more capable of themselves dealing with many of the other aspects, and they'll be less inclined to abuse the relationship they have from their caretaker, because you've built the relationship on faith rather than the ideal caretaker concept, which is I have somebody who's going to take care of me, and every time I have a problem I'm going to unload, and if they don't take care of my problem, then they are not meeting my expectations, and I have to get a little bit more aggressive because they've been designated as my caretaker, and I'll have to report the caretaker because they're not fulfilling their duties, they're not capable, they're not competent. Then they start talking about their caretakers in a malicious way, that's also another phenomena from the other side. They become abusive because nobody took the time to define what is the role of the caretaker. And my humble opinion, the role of the caretaker is most prominently to be that person who inspires faith in bhakti. And that's a tall order, but why not aspire for it? And at least keep it in the back of one's mind while executing the service, that if I'm going to be successful in instilling faith, I really have to be surrendered myself. Not to the person I'm caring for, but to those who are taking care of me. And so being surrendered to those who are taking care of me means that I have somebody whose instructions I can embrace, I can take shelter of, I can lean on those instructions, and who will always be there for me if I do run into difficulty. Not every time I run into difficulty, but if I really do need to run into difficulty, they'll always be there. That's faith. So if a person has faith, then they're sheltered and they can give faith. But if they don't have that faith, they can't give shelter. And then there is the consequence of that is that they've entered into a relationship with a false expectation from somebody who thinks that you're my caretaker and you have to take care of all my problems. This is not a way to bring up people in Krishna consciousness. We're supposed to be, first and foremost, supposed to be teaching and inspiring Krishna consciousness, and not academics. And therefore, when I've seen the tendency of courses to be too academic, academically focused, and the result is that people have knowledge, but they don't have shelter. They know verses, they know where to find things in the books, they know, they've learned those things in their studies, but as far as the ideal shelter, their relationships aren't there. I have, it's my teacher who comes, and I see him once a week, and I can ask questions, but when they're really relevant questions that are necessary for the satisfaction of the heart, there's still not sufficient trust, and devotees remain closed. And if devotees remain closed, then it's not really devotee care. There has to be open relationships, and one of the obstacles for having open relationships is confidentiality. Nobody wants to open their hearts to somebody if they don't trust that what I'm telling them is confidential. And unfortunately, our society has a very bad track record for that. There's too many times people get together and dissect people's character collectively without even the person being present, and having to find out second-hand, third-hand that they've been talked about without even being present to defend themselves and to help others to know the actual facts. And that's why I speak so much on the topic about real care is to control the tendency to speak about others, to know when to speak about others and when not to speak about others for the sake of others, so that devotees can feel cared for, that they can have confidential relationships. This is all a very essential feature of devotee care. It's confidence. But if it's not there, if it's just academics and you don't cross you build certain designated boundaries that you don't cross between yourself and your preceptor. I have somebody who teaches information, but I don't have somebody I can take shelter in. And it's really it's complex, and I prefer to talk about these topics openly, and not in a critical way, but simply in a way that I hope that the devotees who hear these things won't use them in a way to criticize others, because everybody's sincerely trying. And I don't doubt the sincerity of many people who've tried to assume the responsibility of caretaker, but it's a substantial service, and it's not just knowledge and facts.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot more than that. It's displaying the qualities of a Vaishnava, and that's what breeds trust, faith, and that's what breeds openness and confidential relationships. And I believe that devotees need to have those kind of relationships with their seniors before they can actually teach it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody they trust. It's one of my I won't go too much into detail, but I do have a particular disturbance when I see that when there's too much of a tendency to legislate people's lives rather than love and trust, which is what Srila Prabhupada wanted. And I believe that as a society, we have a tendency to think that the more the society grows, the more we have to put emphasis on legislation, so there's more abuse. But so legislation increases, but love and trust decreases. And somehow there has to be a good balance. There has to be a good balance. If you lose love and trust, then you'll have nobody to legislate. They'll all leave. And nobody's going to be inspired by legislation. I didn't join Krishna consciousness movement to be legislated. I was looking for a lot more than that, than to be legislated. But fortunately, Prabhupada's held me together because he always taught by his example.
Mm-hmm.
So I tolerate. And fortunately, I have love and trust relationships, without which I don't think I would have ever survived.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for sharing this wonderful things for us, to us, and we also understanding that someone is already waiting for you there.
What's that? No?
So there a patient came or whatever, and they are waiting for you. Probably we cannot also misuse.
Oh, yeah, they're just coming to give me a treatment for my health, that's all. But if you have another question, I can take one more.
Actually, the last question was if you really feel that you would like to give some instructions to us, although we have already received some from you, if you desire to somehow instruct us more about this topic, we would like to hear from you.
More? Boy, I gave a lot in the last...
I mean, Maharaj, whatever we didn't ask from you.
Huh? I can't... Your sound is not so clear.
Yes, what we didn't ask from you, Guru Maharaj, like maybe from your side, you have some hidden message or whatever you would like to add to whatever you had already spoken to us.
Something what now?
Some message or some
message.
Some words like like in Srimad Bhagavatam, Vidur asks Maitreya for some questions, and then he says, please answer to those questions, and also for those questions which I didn't ask. So maybe something that you from your side would like to
Well, I could say from Srimad Bhagavatam, your questions are irrelevant because they're pertaining to the service of Lord Krishna, and therefore they're beneficial for everyone. Muni asaru prishtalham bhavabhya lokamangalam. I can say that. It's good, definitely good to think about the welfare of others, and that's a good place to start. We need more devotees who think about the welfare of others. But as I've oftentimes emphasized again and again and again in our efforts for outreach, as the way to reach out to others, to new people, and to bring new people to Krishna consciousness, if we really want to be effective in our outreach, we really have to understand that reaching out to others means also amongst the devotees. And because the more new people we bring in, if they don't seek love and trust amongst the senior devotees, then they're not going to make it very long. You'll get burned. They'll get too close to the fire, and they'll begin to see, wait a minute. There was a nice presentation made for me when I first came in contact with the Krishna consciousness movement, but I don't see it in the what all these ideals people talked about. To me, when I was brand new, I don't see them amongst the senior devotees, and I don't see love and trust. I see a lot of competition. I see a lot of backbiting. I see a lot of minimization of individualistic services and inspirations. I see a lack of. I see all these things sometimes, and where's our outreach if we can't show by our example of our senior devotees that it exists amongst the senior devotees? That's why I say it's so important for the caretakers to have good relationships, to come together and really know how to associate with each other. So, because I can't tell you, even amongst my own experience, my disciples, I can't tell you how many times devotees tell me that what's inspiring for them is to see how I associate with God brothers. I must hear it. It's just, but it's not something pretentious, because what can I say? There are certain God brothers I love more than my life. and I'm ready to do anything, and I think my disciples need to see that there's some people who are more important to me than my disciples. And without them, what could I do to help my disciples? Mm-hmm. So I believe that that has to filter down amongst the caretakers, that they also have to have healthy relationships amongst themselves. They also have to have loving relationships amongst themselves. They also have to show that they know how to associate with each other, that they're not competitors amongst themselves who can get the most followers, who can get the to be the most heard from amongst all the caretakers, who can get the most respect. It's just so petty. It's so petty. These things are really non-Vaishnava. And we have to learn how to overcome these things and to associate with our peers in a way that will attract others to want to become a part of it. So I'd say that's an important message. Not the welfare of others is not just for the newcomers to Krishna consciousness, but it's for everyone's sake in the Krishna consciousness movement, especially the older devotees who are dependent upon each other for strong, healthy, caring relationships. And if you can be successful in that effort amongst yourselves, I believe it would go a long way to inspiring more participation from those that you would like to come and take part in being cared for.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for your instruction.
Okay? I should go.
Maybe hope that in some day again we will meet you.
Yeah, yeah, I'm accessible. You just have to, get me on the right time and place and circumstance, but I'm accessible. I'm not particularly fond of Zoom, but I've surrendered to it. And due to the circumstances beyond my control. In fact, I was just having a conversation with someone yesterday. Who was it with? It's probably with Shiva Maharaj and Devamrita Maharaj. Could have been. I think it was with Devamrita Maharaj. I was talking about the how much more beneficial it is to meet with somebody face to face and not on a computer monitor. And how much more effective it is, because many subtle nuances can be missed in cyberspace. And anyways, but I've surrendered to it. It's just something I've had to do, but I definitely like sitting and talking face to face better than anything. And if you ever decide to be in a place where I am, then I'll certainly give you as much time as you want. But I have my limits on Zoom. Zoom is, anyways. It has some value, but it has its limits. Let's put it that way.